This video is powered by LearnToPlay.live, the only hardware synth performance course. Register now and enjoy 40% off.
Bass up, bass down. It is a fairly simple concept, but it does a lot. And why does it do a lot? Because I think frequencies work differently if they elevate, if they will go up. It tends to be a rule that if you want to make something that is going to be upbeat, it's going to be happy, you will play your frequency up. And if it needs to be sad, you'll play your frequency down. Or in layman's terms, you will have a declining melody that is always sort of like sad. Think of any cartoon that goes, you understand that that's the global sort of like understanding for sadness, or at least something that is not going well. So if you want to have those elements in your music, especially in dance music, and you're doing it a little bit on the elementary side, like I'm going to do it with just a few elements, you're actually going to have to make do with trying to look at your bass sound. So this is how I really narrow it down. So do you play your bass down, or do you play the bass up? And I'll play you a few examples on how the feel is different. Now, first of all, let's go over what I have right here. There is a multi-clock, there's a mini tower, there's a black box, then there is the octa-track, then there is a MIDI fighter connected to the black box, and then there's a modular system. The drums are coming from the modular system. Big, fast battering ram for the beats. The nano modules octa for the hats and the drums. Pretty much the kick is coming out separately on one channel, and then the stereo comes from someplace else, and it's going through the Meta by Oxy that I don't use now, but I obviously can use it in a live setting, having a little DJ effects. But for sake of this tutorial, let's not go there. So what do I have? I've got a 4 on the floor, house beat. Also there's a clap sound coming from a Perkins voice. So this is my kick battering ram, obviously. Make it a little bit more snappy. BPM is 130 BPM, and then everything's being clocked by the IntelliGel Steppy. At least that's what's sending out the triggers, but it's getting a clock signal from the black box. So the multi-clock is sending a MIDI signal to the black box that translates that MIDI signal into a pulse or into a trigger signal, and then that's how it works. Then the MIDI tower is getting MIDI from the octa-track right here, and I can play certain elements on the black box. I can trigger them playing this little MIDI fighter, so you know how the setup works. This is a simple 4 to the floor type style beat, right? So there's nothing really happening at the minute because I want everything to be pretty neat so you can understand what's going on. Now, bass. For this bass, I went for this sound. Oh, it's very dusty. I've got a dusty Minotaur sitting right here. For the sound, I went for the preset that's number 5 on the Minotaur, which is an aggressive sound most of the time, mostly. Let's take this out and let's take this out. So now I've got everything just going through the Nano Mar, which is a mixer as well, so no drums. And the mini tower is going into the Nobula Echo Cinematic, so we've got a little bit of delay and reverb. Now it's dry, but now I can dramatically go in, which is cool. Now the bass sound, as I was saying, you can hear that there's a pulse going because there's some sidechain that's being played. So let's take that out. So in the simplest form, this is what I mean with getting that elevated pitch feeling. It gives that climbing feeling, right? And the other way around. If you were to do that with the filter in tandem, you'll hear. So So you can build tension with that. So if we were to play those beats that we have, and we would add a little bit of Foley, meaning a little bit of atmospheric stuff in the background to give our track a little bit of character already. Let's see if that works. So the kick's here, closed head here, open head here, and then we're going to open up our clap, little clap sound, which is basically white noise, but I'm using a sound on the Perkins voice here. Then let's open up what this thing is playing right here. So turn to black box. Yeah, that's a bit of craziness. Gives a little bit of atmosphere, right? Exactly. So I will engage the sidechain again. He's holding this input for my bass. Now, if I was to liking it. So let's engage the auto track. Well, that's running, which means that I can record it now. Liking it, so let's record it in 3, 4. See how this gets a little bit of a feeling? Liking that. So I'm going to add a little bit of atmosphere, so a little bit of reverb and delay. I'm liking it. Gives a bit of a vibe. Very progressive. But if I was to change my bass line around, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of record. I'm going to put this thing into quick mute mode. I will mute what I have. I will go to the MIDI page, engage a second MIDI channel on which I'm going to do the same thing as I did on the first one. I can ideally copy this track, but let's not be lazy. Let's go in and say, all right, let's double click it. We'll go for channel 3. I happen to know that this is on MIDI channel 3. I engage it. I went for 5, didn't I not? Yes, I went for 5. So on my preset, I will go 5 and say engage, meaning that's cool. And now this. So let's not confuse this thing. Now we're going to play our bass line in the other direction, right? That's rubbish. Right. That is complete and utter rubbish. Let's go in and do it like so. 3. So what I will do is get out of there, clear it because I know I've already screwed up. 1, 2. And what I need to do is I need to get out of record, go in here and engage the second track. Now you will hear it. So we go back in, and we go and try that stuff again. That's better. Okay, filtering it down. think this gives me a little bit more of an upbeat feeling that we're going somewhere. Looking at my snare clap thingy, which is on track 2. Give it a little bit of a, just want to go in and give it a little bit more swing. Yeah, I'm liking it, okay. So I feel that the bass line going up is instantly giving me a sort of like vibe, like, okay, yeah, I want to go and create a little bit of craziness. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some shuffle on this baby, which is swing. There's none on there, so I'll create swing. Listen to the clap. A little bit much, so I'm going to go for 2. Open this up. I think I can do the same thing with my hats, right? My hats are on track 3, there's 4 tracks here. So I'm seeing that, going in, they swing, also put it on 2. Here we go. Yeah, I'm liking that. So, how does this compare to our other bass line? You know what I mean? It's a different feeling. Going down, something is heavily happening, so I want to change the sound around as well. I'm going to take that long synth noise out. Try a different sound maybe. See, it doesn't get any happier, you hear what I mean? It just gets a little bit more sad, which is good, but yeah. Which is cool, because then you get to do a transition. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go back in. Okay, I'm liking that. Yeah. Nice concept, right? And what I also think is important is to know that if you are playing a melody with your bass, then that becomes apparent. Now what I usually do is let's stop everything. So what if I was to play even something different, you know? An alternating sort of like bass. So say I would go to MIDI channel 3 again on a different track, taking this out, engaging that. So track 3 is engaged. MIDI, sorry, on my MIDI channel, boom, same thing, double click it. Channel 3 is where we're gonna go. We're going to stay on the same thing, enter on the same preset. So track 5, preset 5 is where we are, which is here. Then we're gonna go and say enter, play the sound. So I'm going to take that out and take my clap out, and then there's nothing there except this bass. Now this is what this bass sounds like. Now in terms of sound design, why do I use a bass sound like this? Well, let's take out a little bit of reverb because that gives a lot of character as well. I take a bass sound like this because there's already a lot of stuff on there. Listen. Let's take off the... Bam, that's the end of the sidechain. The sidechain, by the way, comes from the battering ram as well. There is a inversed envelope that sends a sidechain out to in this case, on the sidechain input, on the endorphins. The endorphins cockpit 2 are great little mixers, and I love them because then you get the sidechain. Okay, I hear Master D laughing already because I, for the longest of times, said, yeah, I hate compressors. I don't hate them, or I didn't say that I hate them, I said I just didn't use them. I don't use EQ and I don't use compression, but that's not the case because I don't think you can make it out on the camera here, but there's a Borg filter here, there's a Ericsson's low-pass filter here, a voltage controls coupler here. I use filters, and EQ essentially are filters. So a cutoff frequency knob on any synthesizer is an EQ, right? Essentially. And sidechain is to do something with compression. Now, I love the fact that it's on there, so you can actually just do a little bit of that enveloping, but yeah, that's a different story. So this is the bass sound, and the bass sound is very rich because it's got a lot of overtones. Now, looking at the sound, it's a 2 oscillator sound, meaning, and there's a bit of envelope on it, as you can hear. This is the second oscillator, by the way, which I can pitch. It's a bit low. You can hear it that it starts to deteriorate. Those are the waveforms. Can I go lower? So this sound does this. That oscillator, it sounds absolutely amazing. But I can pitch it. The second oscillator is the one I can pitch. And there's level here. There's nothing there. And much like a 303, it's got these 2 oscillators on this, 2 waveforms on the oscillator. So that there's a saw and there's a square. If you get to a computer, if that's how you would like to work, some people don't really want to do that, but if you want to, there is an editor for the meter that folds open. Basically, it gives you a little bit more than what you see on the panel right here. There's a lot that can happen with this thing, like in FM style things, and oscillator syncing, that kind of stuff. That's stuff you can do on the computer, which is also something interesting if you would like to actually think on stuff like that. So let's look at the sound. So the second oscillator is an octave down, as you can hear. So both of them sound pretty rich and fat, right? So if you want to re-bass it up, you'll just pitch the second oscillator to the pitch of the first one, which is dead in the middle, because it's got three steps, as you can hear. So that's nice. And then for this sound, you like to muffle it up a little bit. Shorten the note. A little bit of... Ooh, envelope. Shorter notes. Wicked bass sound. So, playing that with your drums means nice sound. So you can imagine that if you're going to play something alternating and you've got your bass sound going, you can go in like... So the first bass line that we had was, let's try that out, we had... step, 3. That's the one going down, then going up. Let's play a bit of that noise again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a little bit of character, right? Nice. Yeah, I'm liking it. So now for our third bass line, I would like to play something that does a little bit something different. Now let's not. So we're gonna go in, say track 3, double click it. Cool. Octave it down. And now I'm going to play something. And what I like about what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to, I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I'm going to have one side of the bass line stay the same. Barely. This is always going to be same. Right? Let's record it in. Taking out of the record, going in. There you go. Now I can get going. Nice. Yeah, I was thinking something was wrong. So, but now it's so cool. Nice. There you go. So now that the top end of my bass line is playing, I will. So now you get to do that up and down kind of thing with your bass line, but your bass line will not get that sad or happy character. Now you can play some sort of a melody. So the top end is playing the same thing, helped by the noise it's playing. That's very monotonous. But now what we're going to do, we're going to try and play something on the bottom end. I'm not going to record it, just play it. See what I mean? But now it gets that cool feeling. So this stays on the same root note. This, bam, you play. Nice. Now we're going to play our little melody. I'm going up. Now I'm going to alternate. Do you feel what's happening? What is happening actually is that because you go up and you go back down, it gives a sort of like a revolving door thing. And towards the end of the bar, I'll play something of an upbeat, so that you feel like bum 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 bum. And here we go on the one, you know? I can do it here again. 1, towards the end of the bar, here, bum. So you see that different concepts can be done. I feel that if I want to make a happy beat, it's just great to just go up in scale or go up in pitch. And if I want to do something sad, I'll just go down. So I hope that that example is something which inspires you to experiment. Let me know in the comment section how that is going. If you're interested, I'm still enrolling with learntoplay.live, as in a few weeks it's going to be Amsterdam Dance Event, and after the Amsterdam Dance Event our 32-week course will commence. We've got some cool masterclasses, giveaways, and some cool stuff online already. And everybody really seems to enjoy themselves, so it's a really great thing. So if you want to be part of it, go to learntoplay.live and enroll. Now, this concludes our broadcast. If you made it this far to the video, you certainly are an absolute superstar. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I'm Analog Kitchen. I'll be back next week with another video. If you can wait, you want to get closer, then obviously try out patreon.com/analogkitchen, where obviously there is a sort of like flow into Discord, and that's where we congregate. That's where much of the community hangs out, and that's where you can ask a lot of questions. It's a nice, respectful community with like-minded synth people. Thanks for watching. And if not anything else, I'll catch you on the rebound. I'm Analog Kitchen, and I'm out. Peace.